This is our final research project presentation by Melissa Rice and Carrie Higgins. Introduction.
In this presentation, we will be discussing an overview of what we have prepared for our research project and our findings from our research. Our research topic is about poverty and its effect on a student's reading ability. In our school, Level Grove Elementary in Cornelia, Georgia, students living in poverty are offered EIP or Early Intervention Program interventions in the classroom to help with reading. These interventions might include extra small group reading instruction with support with phonics, word work, and reading strategies. Often these services are offered by an early intervention program teacher, but sometimes the general education teacher is responsible for ensuring these services are provided to the students. Problem statement. Poverty has a negative impact on a student's reading ability. This is a long-term problem because younger students don't get the foundation they need to progress in reading comprehension and fluency. Many of these students haven't been exposed to needed literacy skills early on. Melissa and I both teach kindergarten, and this is a problem we see daily in our classrooms. Students who have not been exposed to literacy skills prior to kindergarten have a more difficult time establishing a firm reading foundation. Because of this, we understand the need for further research and to find ways to increase those students' reading abilities at an early age. Our research question is, does the use of EIP interventions increase reading abilities in kindergarten students who are living in poverty?
What is the significance? We believe that our research project will contribute to the current scholarship and practitioners by providing readers and educators with more positive results about interventions that can be used with students who are living in poverty.
Literature review.
The current literature that was found and reviewed focuses on students living in poverty and how the educational system can help. The need for services. Studies have shown that it is important for students who are living in poverty to receive additional services to help bridge the gap between home and academics at school. Pre-service teachers. Because of this need for services, it has also been studied that pre-service teachers need additional training in how to effectively teach students who come from low socioeconomic families. Pre-kindergarten resources for families. Resources were provided at the pre-kindergarten level for families living in poverty. This has shown positive results in helping families with young students practice reading skills at home and allows families to expose their children to literature. Summer school, there were positive results when literacy intense summer school was provided for students living in poverty.
Where's the gap? The gap in the research is that we need to know more strategies and interventions that can be effectively used to increase reading achievement for students who are living in poverty.
Methods.
A quasi-experimental design was used. The main characteristics of a quasi-experimental design are that you cannot have random participants. Because the participants cannot be random in a quasi-experimental design, we used a stratified sampling selection. Our sample and participants. Before beginning, we identified 8 students in 2 different classrooms who were already tested and qualified for Early Intervention Program, EIP, services. These are students who also live in poverty. They receive extra support from their teacher, paraprofessional, and/or an EIP teacher. The EIP teacher serves in my classroom through a push-in model. We had meetings with our parapros and the EIP teacher to brief them on instructional strategies, goal setting, and expectations for each student.
We use the STAR Early Literacy Assessment as a pre-test and a post-test to collect data. The STAR assessment is a computer-based test. It is a nationally normed assessment to score students across the United States. It is research-based and focuses on standards for each grade level. For each grade, there is a benchmark, usually at the 50th percentile, that students are expected to be at or above.
T-test analysis approach was used to analyze our data. This fits our research because it helped us decide if there was a significant difference between the two groups, my class and Ms. Rice's class. Since August, we selected our sample, instructed the sample, and assessed using the STAR assessment. In March, we were able to give our post-test and recorded those scores so that we could run a t-test for analysis. We used the pre-test and post-test scores to find the growth that each student made. Then we used the growth data to run the t-test and were able to analyze the results.
Findings.
We found that the mean frequency of my students' scores from the pretest was 419.25, with a standard deviation of 37.5325. The post-test results that we found were that my students scored a mean of 549 and a standard deviation of 22.08.
We found that the mean frequency of my students' scores from the pretest was 445.5 with a standard deviation of 35.1461. We also found that my students scored a mean of 651.5 and a standard deviation of 50.58 on the post-test assessment.
We ran a t-test using the growth data and found the following results. The growth for Rice's class was hypothesized to be lower than the growth for Ms. Higgins' class. Ms. Rice's class had a mean of 206, a standard deviation of 64.48. My class had a mean of 129.75 with a standard deviation of 33.17. The difference was significant with a p-value of 0.04.
Implications and discussion.
Why does it matter? Our research was conducted to see if there was a significant difference in whether or not having an EIP teacher, in addition to the classroom teacher, is effective. According to our research, there was a significant p-value that leans toward stating our hypothesis was wrong, based off of our data findings. This does not necessarily mean that our hypothesis is completely inaccurate. In our opinion, there needs to be more data collected within a full school year. Possible future research. We believe that more research should be conducted to prove that an EIP teacher is effective. We see the effectiveness of an EIP teacher daily in the classroom and know that it can be beneficial. We feel like for there to be accurate data, there needs to be more research conducted where there is a full school year to collect data. Connections to literature. Our research findings differ from the literature we found because our hypothesis was proven to be inaccurate. In the literature that we found, they were able to prove their hypotheses and found positive results about the topic. This is why we feel more research needs to be conducted using our methods, because we know that there can be positive results.